What's going on, everybody? It's Chris with Pro Photo, and welcome to Geared Up. This is our weekly live broadcast where we talk about lighting techniques, gear, photography, whatever it is. Just try to have a lot of fun, do some exploring, and learn some cool things, and we knock a couple of things over. But yeah, so if you're watching this on prophoto.com, you're gonna see some stuff pop up around the edges whenever I say like 4x6 softbox. A 4x6 softbox is gonna pop up there. You can click on that. You can go and read up on that if you want to. If you don't have to. If you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, that's not gonna happen. If you want that experience, go to prophoto.com. If you don't care, hang with us. So today we're gonna be talking about 3 techniques, things you need to think about when you're lighting full body portraits. We have 3 distinctly different lighting setups, and we're just going to dive right into it and talk about it. So the tough thing with full body portraits is obviously you have a lot of length that you have to work with. When you're running around with, you know, a small umbrella or something like that, it may not give you the coverage that you're looking for. So we're going to dive into now modifier selection and modifier placement when it comes to doing things like photographing full body portraits. So let's start with the behemoth first. So this is, well, actually I say behemoth, but let's just, in general, let's start with soft light. Is it better to go to the side shot for something like this because it's so big? Not bad. So when the rule with soft light obviously is you want to, the bigger the modifier is in relationship to the subject, the softer the light's going to be. And you generally always want to try to have your softbox as close as you can get to the subject without it being in the frame, right? So that being said, a lot of the times with full body portraits, you're going to need to back the modifier up to get it out of the frame of the shot, but you still need to be soft. So you usually have to go with a big modifier. So in the world of soft light full body portraits, you want to try to get as big of a modifier as you can. Doesn't necessarily need to say you need a 4x6 softbox, but this is the R5 4x6. So it's just meant to be this big light that throws a big soft light forward, covers your entire subject head to toe. Really, really nice stuff. And we're gonna photograph with all these too, so you can see the differences in how those lights work. But again, when you're photographing soft light full body portraits, you want to try to get as big of a modifier as you can. That's not to say that you can't do this with a extra large umbrella, or you can't do it with a 3x4 softbox. You just have to remember that you're not going to get as soft a light because you have to back it up some. So again, things to consider. This is why we talk about modifier selection and light placement. It's very, very important. So again, 4x6 softbox, tons of coverage. We're gonna be shooting that in a second. That's actually, we have that running through the Pro, we have it running through the Pro 11. You don't have to run it on a Pro packet and head system. It's just, I have it down and it's easier for me to have these 2 different lights set up with this. So hard light. This one's gonna be a little bit harder to see because I have it placed and it's on a C-stand. It's not really rolling, but when it comes to hard light and you're doing full body portraits, the main goal here is to try to back the light up as far as you can. So when you're using a hard light, they don't generally tend to cover as much as something like a softbox would. When you think about this 4x6, you have all this area where this panel is going to get illuminated. Say you're using this, this hard reflector right here. You don't have all that surface area. So if this is close to me, and we can take a photo of it so you can see what we're talking about, but if this is close to me, the light's gonna fall off, and then you have to start thinking about things like the inverse square law, where essentially the closer the light is to the subject, the quicker it gets darker, right? So if this is here close to me, the light here is gonna be great, and it's gonna just disappear down towards the bottom. So when it comes to shooting with hard light, the rule is back that light up as far as you can. There's obviously, you're always gonna have constraints as far as how far you can get the light back versus where you need to have your subject placed to make sure you have them in a full body shot that you're at the focal length that you want to be shooting at and all that kind of stuff. So there's just things you have to think about from that perspective. But again, the main objective with doing full body hard light shots is to back the light up as far as you can get it. Again, going back to that inverse square law, because the light's further away, the longer that light becomes, the more it starts to cover evenly top to bottom. So cool stuff. And then what if you start getting into things like, oh, like I'm shooting maybe this makeup work, but the outfit's maybe a touch, a little bit important, I think I'm gonna go with the beauty dish. A beauty dish is not made to give you a full body shot, or just in general, maybe you like the look of a beauty dish, but you need to shoot some full body stuff. So you can do some things to augment the beauty dish, and this is this little contraption that I've made in the past, but it's pretty simple. I'm gonna pull it forward. A little wild looking, but you can enjoy the ingenuity. So it's just a super clamp with a B10 and a 1x4 to give you the lighting that you might need on the body. And then up to the top, I have a grip arm with another B10 with an OCF beauty dish on it, right? So this is giving me my beauty dish look to the face, but it'll also give me some light coverage across the body. And what's cool about this type of setup for something like this is you can decide what to put emphasis on, right? So say you're taking a full body portrait, but the clothes are a little bit more important. You can turn the power up on the lower strip light and bring the power down on the actual beauty dish for the face to bring more light. Obviously, the brighter something is in the scene, the more attention it draws. So you can bring this right here up, the beauty dish down a little bit, and do some cool stuff. You could even do something really cool too, where you maybe take the beauty dish and you bring it out into more of a butterfly type setup, to where it's like, you know, this right here, and then you kick the softbox over from the side, so it's maybe giving you a little more side light, whereas the beauty dish is gonna give you a little bit more of that flat light for the face. And this right here can offer, because the light's coming from the side here with across the body, a little bit more texture on the clothing. So it's a cool little setup for some versatility, especially again, if you want to do some full body stuff, but you really like the look that a beauty dish gives you on, you know, subject's skin or something like that. So we're gonna shoot with all of these right now so you can see what they all look like, but in practice, this is why we were thinking about this kind of stuff. So cool. And this just also kind of goes back to the whole talk that we had that once, where, you know, you shouldn't be trying to use a beauty dish to light your subject's full body. A beauty dish is really meant to be relatively close to your subject. So let's kick this around.
All right, Chris, you're getting lots of love on your hoodie.
Oh, thanks.
And hellos and hellos.
Appreciate the love on the hoodie.
And let's see, how well does it work with a B1? I'm sorry, how well does a B1 cover with the 4x6?
So a B1 with a 4x6 should be fine. It hits the middle diffusion, and then it bounces around inside the reflector. Again, I only went with the Pro Head because I can quickly. First and foremost, you can't see it back here because it's as far back as I can get it. There's a Magnum reflector, like the original Magnum reflector, and that is better to be used with a Pro Head or an exposed dome head than it is a flat front light. So I was like, oh, I'm already have the Pro 11 out for that. I'm just gonna run the second head to this softbox, because again, you need a heavier head like a B1 or a D2 to handle the weight of this thing. It's a very, very heavy softbox. So that's why I just went ahead with the Pro Head. But again, your B1 can support this no problem. It should light it up no problem. I've used my go-to light for this softbox is my D2. So yes, the flat front, I've never had any problems out of it. I'm sure someone will see the front of something and say, oh, the light is doing this when it should blah, 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 blah. But in all honesty, I've used a D2 and I've never had any issues with it illuminating my 4x6. So with that being said, let's take some photos. Let's start with the 4x6. So I'm gonna bring this in as close as I can. We're gonna have Kate come into the scene. Say hi to Kate, everybody.
Hello.
And then, so again, very, very large modifier. I don't have it all the way to the floor. You can see that it's not touching the floor, because for the most part, I might actually even raise it up a touch more, because I like the center line where the light is. So yeah, you can see it right here. So the center line right here where the light is, I don't like this to be below the nose. It's just not something that I dig. So I'm gonna actually bump it up a little bit more, like right there, but it still should give us some nice coverage. So I just wanna make sure that the softbox is in the frame, and it 100% is. So, cool. So, seriously, how far would you say this from me? Like 5 feet, maybe 4 feet? 4 or 5 feet away from Kate, so 1.5 meters. Good stuff. I'm trying for all the metric system people out there. I'm doing my best. Trying to get my meter language rock and rolling. So let's go here. Here we go, Kate. 3, 2, 1. Oh. One more time. 3, 2, 1. There we go. So beautiful coverage, top to bottom. It's for you. You know, it might be a little overexposed for me too. Yeah, it's a little overexposed for me. So I'm gonna pull it back. Oh, why is that like that? That was funky. Let's go to, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Is that still over? Oh yeah, because that was at 6 and then the trigger just made it go crazy. Sorry about that. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, that's a little bit better. So we haven't lost any of the whites. The coverage from top to bottom is pretty even. Obviously the light's coming from this direction, so this side of Kate's gonna fall off a little bit more. That's okay. I mean, you could play with it. Like I could back the light up a little bit. And again, this is why you wanna go with a bigger modifier. I could back the light up a little bit, get this cord out of the way, and then just trying to pay attention to my frame and see what I have. So we go. So we have the light backed up a little bit. We power up by about a stop, I think. There we go. 3, 2, 1. And there you go. So bring the light around a little bit more so it's not so, it's not quite as hard in the directionality. Really, really even stuff. Very, very nice. So let's put away this very large 4x6. Yeah. So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna flip from group A. I'm gonna turn group A off, which was the softbox. I'm gonna turn on group B. That is our Magnum reflector. What? Okay, that's a problem. All right, I'm ready for you, Kate.
All right, let's do it.
So come this way a touch, and this way, and then forward right there. Perfect. Here we go. Chin down a little bit. 3, 2, 1. And there you go. So the Magnum reflector, because we have the distance, is giving a nice even coverage top to bottom. I could probably
They unfortunately can't see it in the frame.
yeah, you can't see it in the frame, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna zoom the head a little bit more and see what happens, just see what the difference in the settings are. So that first shot was at a zoom position of 4. This shot is at a zoom position of 10. So here we go. I might actually have to power up. So 3, 2, 1. Yeah, so I have to power up, but the spread is way more even, whereas beforehand, it was a little bit more of a hot spot. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Lovely. So that's the Magnum reflector, and that's the cool thing about the power of zooming these reflectors. I had the coverage was nice, but I still kind of in the original shot, like right here, had more of a bright spot than the rest of it. It was relatively even, but you could see the bright spot. By zooming that Magnum reflector all the way back, I was actually able to, I say that it self-diffuses. I don't know if that's the right word for it, but it's just the way that it collects light tends to make it way more even. And again, it has this really, really cool like characteristic where it feels like sunlight. It's really, really, really nice. So very cool stuff with the hard light. Again, because we backed it up a lot, the light had time to hit Kate and the background at a relatively even amount. And that's why everything looks nice top to bottom, front to back. Very cool. So now let's bring in the really weird contraption. And then I'll show you, oh, you know what I wanted to do actually before we do that, because I had talked about the what happens when the hard light is close. Let's flip over and put the hard light up closer so you can see the difference between a hard reflector that's far away and a hard reflector that's close up. I'm gonna be working within the constraints of my Pro Head cable, but we're gonna do this. Also, you'll be able to see the modifier now. Yeah, I've got it. As long as I don't trip over the cable. So let's put this right here. I don't really care so much about this. This is just more to show you what happens when a hard light reflector is up close. This might actually even be way too close for the amount of power. But when you have the light up really close, let's turn B back on. Now let's power it down to, I'm gonna take it down like 4 stops. Let's put it at 2. Here we go, 3, 2, 1. And that's still even overexposed. Let's bring it back. Here we go, 3, 2, 1. See the difference? So that's why you want, when you're shooting with your hard light stuff, that's why you're gonna wanna back it up a lot. And again, we'll break all this stuff down, but just so you can see, when you start to, the light is so focused on where you want it, that it's not even enough to spread downwards. So that's why you wanna back it up. So cool stuff. And you gotta see the Magnum. You're welcome. Cool. And then now, the crazy contraption. So I'll set it up in both the ways that we talked about. So we're gonna do it the conventional way first. You checking it on any comments?
Yep.
Cool.
Looks all good.
Cool.
All right.
So one of the things you want to do as a photographer, especially with the beauty dish, you can turn the continuous light on. This helps a lot too, but I like to stand where the model's going to stand and look at the deflector plate and see if there's any way that I can see light coming out of it. And this one I can a little bit. So I want to adjust this down a little bit more. So the deflector plate kind of is covering the center line much better. This is going to keep any like extra stray light from kind of creeping out. I might actually even in a second throw a diffuser over the front of it, but yeah, so I know this is in the shot, I need to back it out a little bit. This is probably a little bit further than I would want a beauty dish, but we're gonna operate right on the edge. So there we go. Let's turn off that Magnum reflector because that would be not what we wanted. Group C on, group D on. So here we go. 3, and just for the record, because I need that beauty dish to be close, I am gonna see the strip light in this shot. I'm shooting on a blank background. I could obviously Photoshop that out. 3, 2, 1. So there is a nice full body covered shot with a beauty dish illuminating Kate's face. So it's giving that kind of like the pop, and it looks overexposed to you guys, a little more contrasty. For me, it's right on the money as far as the exposure goes. But the nice thing about this is giving that nice pop that you get from the beauty dish on the face while still illuminating the clothing. The cool thing about this, again, like you said, you have a lot of flexibility. So if this was more about the clothing, you could do something like the knuckle to my light might actually be in the way. So let's do this. Let's kick the light out this way. There we go. So you could do something like this right here where you kick the light downwards. Okay, that's exactly what I wanted right there. So we turned the actual light on her face down a little bit. So let's go down like right there. So 3, 2, 1. And so now there's more light going towards the clothing than there is her face. Oh, we have a screensaver. So now we have more light. Now we have more light on the clothing than we do on the face, and you can do just the opposite. You could bring that back up for the face, and then you could drop the clothing down. So this again is just going to give you a little more flexibility and a little more control. So here we go, 3, 2, 1. That's actually more on the clothing than I want. Let's go down. Let's go down, stop and half, and just see what happens. 3, 2, 1. So you can start to pull that stuff back. And really fine tune the light how you want. And then if you wanted to, you could get really crazy, and we could, if it's more about the texture of the clothing, which what she's wearing doesn't really have a lot of texture in it today, but we could take this light right here. We're gonna flip it around actually. I'm gonna have to do this because I'm gonna have to flip it over.
Do you want me to throw that coat around my waist like that? Or something?
I mean, you could. I don't know that it matters.
Probably doesn't matter.
just gonna bring this around this way so I can aim the light the way that I want it. There we go.
Something popped in here.
Cool. Thanks for kicking with us today, guys. We really appreciate it. So I'm gonna bring the light here around the side of Kate, so there's a little more directionality from this side, but we're going to kick the beauty dish a little more forward, so the face is, we're gonna try not to go too crazy, because I think once you start to make it go too far, you change the directionality too much, it could probably start to look a little bit awkward. So we're still gonna keep a little bit of directionality in here, but, oh, yep, there we go. There. There, so it's more of a butterfly style type light. Maybe a little loopish. How's that deflector plate look? Is it fine? Sorry.
I can't see the.
Perfect. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. So it's nice. So it's got a little more dimension on the body. The face has a nice kind of beauty type coverage for it. Very, very cool stuff. So now I'm gonna stop gabbing about the techniques, and we will pull them up on the screen so we can see them all side by side. Thanks, Kate.
All right, you're welcome.
Let's move this contraption away. Cool, let's grab.
Umbrellas also work for full body portraits.
Yes, umbrellas absolutely work great for full body portraits. The cool thing about an umbrella is that, thanks for the question, Leo. So Leo was asking, do umbrellas work well for full body portraits? Yes, again, when it comes to your softer modifiers, you want to try to make them as large as possible. So a larger and extra large would be ideal, especially if you need to back it up a little bit more. But yeah, an umbrella would do a great job, and they're nice and round, so they'll throw the light in a round shape, nice even coverage. So I would say absolutely. So let's go up here.
How do you fix the shadow on the left? Another light or a V-flat?
Okay, so someone was asking on the shots here, when Kate's standing right here and we're shooting the light from the side, there's a shadow over here. You can do it a couple of different ways. So one, you could light the background. So if you're looking for a stark white shot, or if you're just looking to get rid of the shadows, like if you watched Geared Up last week when we were talking about the snoots and the barn door setup, I lit the background because there was a shadow back there I didn't like. So you can either light the background, you could, a V-flat's not necessarily gonna do anything because the issue is that there is a shadow there. So it's either gonna be getting the light around in front so the shadow is straight behind and the subject is hiding it, or lighting the background, or pulling the subject away from the background. So the further that you can get the subject away from the background, the more, especially with the soft light, the more that shadow is going to diffuse out. So hopefully that did a good job of answering your question. So just want to get in here. Let's go to the softbox. Oh, that's the Magnum. So here we go with the softbox. So again, going with a softbox is going to give you a nice even coverage. You want something really, really big. That way you can get, if you look down here at the bottom of the shoes up to the top of her head, the light is even top to bottom. Cool. And again, I lift the softbox up. So the softbox isn't sitting on the ground. I like to have that above. I like to have the center line at eye line or a little bit further above. I generally tend to go a little bit above, but you can, you want to try not to drop that center line below the nose, because then sometimes you might introduce the opportunity for up shadows, and that's never good. But hopefully the modifier is big enough that it can diffuse all that stuff out. But full body shot with the softbox. Then we go here to the full body shot with, let's just go the two different zoom settings, and then I'll bring the softbox back in here. So this is what I was talking about just a second ago. And again, you could use the zoomability of that Magnum reflector to your advantage. Again, if it's about highlighting something in particular, you could zoom the hotspot into what you want and still get relatively good coverage. I mean, look, top to bottom, we're pretty good. But you can notice that there is more illumination here. You can actually start to see a vignette here on the edges of the screen, or on the edges of the image. Whereas when we were actually able to zoom that modifier all the way back, we got a nice even coverage, top to bottom, edge to edge. So you can, again, play with those zoom settings to your advantage. And then the reason let's just, so we can talk about the reason why we have the light set the way we want to. We took that same Magnum reflector at the same setting as we are here, and we brought it in close to Kate, okay? So when that light's close to Kate, there's not as much coverage. We aren't gonna get that evenness top to bottom. So we wanna make sure with a hard light, we back it up as far as we can back it up. So cool. I don't think
Joey was asking, is there a way to use the beauty dish to light the whole body?
Can
you back it up more?
The only way to use a beauty dish to light a full body is to get a gigantic beauty dish. And at that point, you start to lose the magic of a beauty dish. The magic of a beauty dish is that it's close. It's not too big, it's not too small. It's like this indirect light that it kind of does this cool wrapping. It's just, you're just not gonna get the same look and feel. Like a beauty dish is meant to be kind of in that 20 to 24 inch range. It's just supposed to, because it's supposed to give you kind of some of the crispness that you would get from a hard reflector, but without the hot spots because of the diffusion plate. So you can do whatever you want to do. Back the beauty dish up as much as you want, but the chance of you getting the look of the beauty dish is not going to happen. So sorry if hopefully that answered your question. But yeah, I try to keep my beauty dish close, and that's why I have my funky 2-light contraption there. So now let's drop this down so you can kind of see the, let's go with the even hard light shot. And then let's bring in the wild and crazy contraption. So the beauty of this right here is you can still get some of, so it's still this nice soft light, right? Let's kind of do shift, do this little trick that someone taught me the other day, if it's gonna work for me. I think my loop mode won't do it. Come on. All right, I'm gonna give up. Someone taught me the other day that, oh no, I'm doing command. Someone taught me the other day if I hold down shift, I can zoom them all in at the same time, but it's not working for me today, so we're gonna not do that. There we go, cool. So let's zoom in here. Let's bring this down a little bit. I just wanted you to see the differences in the soft light shots. Come on, talk to me. Oh, now it's all working. Now it's all working. All right, let's do this now that I've got them all working. So let's bring the soft light shot in here. Oh, there it goes. So you can see, I'm just gonna give up because it's not doing what I wanted to do. So here's what you can see. So with the soft light shot, really, really nice, even lines, or even shadows, right? Nothing too pronounced. Here with the beauty dish, you kind of have that pop that you get from the beauty dish. You can see the difference in the way that the highlight is on the face versus just the big, huge soft light, but we're still getting nice, even coverage top to bottom because we added in this strip light. So again, if you love the look and the punch of that, of the beauty dish, which I do, this is a great look, especially on the face, you can just simply add a second light in there and augment in the light across the body. And then again, the cool thing about that is having the individual control. So if you want more light on the face, bump the light up. If you want more light on the body, bump the light up. So you have tons of control that way. Whereas when you're using kind of one source, your control mostly is like, with the softbox is how close is it and what direction is it coming from. With our zoom reflectors, it's how close and the direction it's coming from, but then you have the zooming, so you have a little more versatility there. With this setup with a second light, you actually have individual controls over almost, if you think of it like zones, like the clothing zone and the actual face head zone. So weird way of saying that, but we're gonna roll with it. But it's 3 really, really easy ways of getting set up, getting nice, even full body portraits, and knowing what it is that you're looking for when it's time to actually do that stuff. So just as a really fast recap before we sign off for the day, if you're gonna use, if you want soft light, you wanna try to go as big of a modifier as you can. That's why we use the the RFI 4x6 today for this shot. We were able to keep it for a little bit further back. We were able to kick it around a little bit for some nice even coverage. That's that first shot that is up there on the screen. We were able to get some nice even coverage. The second shot we did was a hard light full body shot with one light, and what you want to do with a hard light for full body is you want to back it up as far as you can get it backed up. If you're outside, maybe you have an infinite amount of room, as long as there's nothing blocking your light stand, but back that light up as far as you can, because that's going to give you the most even coverage top to bottom. And then if you're messing with one of the zooming reflectors, you can play with the different zoom settings to get different coverage. Then if you need a little more control, if you really, again, want to use something like a beauty dish and you love that look, pair it with something like a strip box. So having the beauty dish up top and a strip box on the same stand or relatively in the same position is going to give you the ability to light from head to toe while giving you that same look and feel that you get from a beauty dish. And then you have the control of how much light you want on the body, how much light you want on the face, and you can play with all of that to suit the needs of the image. And that's it. That's all it is. So thank you all so much. Was there any more questions before I sign off?
No, I think you really answered everything, because people were asking about like e-commerce style shooting versus others, but I think you totally covered that.
Yeah, a lot of this stuff is going to be really good for like catalog type stuff, e-com type stuff. You can do a lot of cool things with it. So with that being said, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We have some stuff planned for next week. I will be in Sweden, so it should be good. I think Kate and I are gonna get something taken care of, but either way, we'll let you know what's going on. But thank you so much for kicking it with us this week. We had an awesome time. Peace out, everybody. See you later.